Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am bringing you a reading vlog from isolation. I am on week 2 of working from home. I ended up starting working from home a little bit earlier than everyone else in my office because of anxiety, but now like my whole team is home. We're all learning how to function working from home full time, and it's been real interesting. So I thought that I would do a reading vlog as a way to kind of like break up my day a little bit and to kind of show you guys what I've been up to not leaving the house at all. I have been getting lots of reading done. I have some exciting things happening this week, and yeah, it should be a good one, I think. But to start off with books, because that's what this is all about, I literally just finished the audiobook for The Bone Witch, which I really enjoyed. It's an interesting one because there were bits of it that I really enjoyed and bits of it that I enjoyed a little bit less, but basically it follows a girl named Tia, and she discovers that she has an affinity for dark magic, basically. She's a dark Asha, and Asha are the women who control magic. And there are various sort of designations of Ashas. They're Fire Asha and Wind Asha. She's a Dark Asha, so she is a necromancer, which is awesome. I love necromancy. And it's interesting because it's split between her sort of in the present, where she's been exiled, kicked out, and she's doing mysterious deeds, and her kind of flashing back to when she was first discovering that she had this power and training. And what's really interesting about this, what I really liked about this, is the fact that the Asha, I think they're very, very heavily influenced by geisha. So they attend, you know, parties, and they're entertainers, and they're very powerful people, but they also do lots of other things, like the Dark Asha put down Deva, these kind of horrible monsters. So it was a really interesting read. It was fun. She's a little bit of a wonder girl, which you get a lot in YA, but I still really enjoyed this one. So I think that I am going to continue on with the series on audiobook, which is good fun. And then my other read is The Rearranged Life of Una Lockhart by Margarita Montemor. I don't know if it's because I literally just finished Kingdom of Copper over the weekend. It's Tuesday right now, and I'm not quite over it, but this one's not sinking in as well as I had hoped, and it's alright, it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I feel like there's a lot more that this author could have done with this story. So basically this follows a young woman named Una Lockhart in, I think, 1982. Her birthday is on New Year's Day, and as the clock strikes midnight, she sort of passes out and wakes up, and she is in her 50s. It's 2015. And I think Scottish Husband is currently building flat pack furniture, so if you hear pounding, that's what's going on. But basically she spends a year of her life at a different point in her life. So when the year of her in her 50s is over, she, you know, passes out and wakes up on New Year's Day in another year in her life. And she's sort of living her life out of order, and she's trying to figure out if she can prevent herself from making the same mistakes over and over again, or if she can sort of change her fate, change her life. So it's good. I'm enjoying it. I feel like there's a lot more that could be done with it, but it's fun so far. I'm like 200 something pages in, so I'm getting quite close to the end. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. So after I finish that, I'm either gonna keep going with Kingdom of Liars, which I'm kind of avoiding. I'm stuck on 115 pages, and I'm just not loving the main character much, although as I said in my March TBR video, I have heard that this does improve dramatically in the second half, so we'll see. But the one that I am really going for is probably going to be Docile by K.M. Spara? I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a deeply uncomfortable read. I don't know if it's going to be quite to my taste, but we'll see. So this one is about kind of near future, and people basically, in order to pay off their debts, literally sell themselves, sell their bodies as dociles for the wealthy, and this follows one of those characters. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's apparently really dark, as I'm sure you can imagine, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think this is gonna be my next read though. In terms of other stuff, I have had 2 new bookshelves delivered today. They're currently sitting in the bedroom. They haven't been unpacked and built yet. So I'm going to build some bookshelves while I am on my lunch break from work. I'm going to put them just here. which has kind of been where I've had just been storing crap, really. But I measured it up, I can fit stuff there. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see this or not, unfortunately it does mean that I have to move some of my artwork. There's my desk. But yeah, no, we'll see how this goes. You can't see any of the stuff that I was just talking about, that's fine. When it is done, however, I think that I'm gonna go ahead and kind of show off my reading room, my little library where I tend to hang out, where I film these videos, and where I do a lot of my reading. I've got cookies in the oven, so I'm gonna go grab those and have some lunch. Okay, so one bookshelf is built and I actually have to get back to work, but the Amazon man just came by, and I had participated in a couple of like those wishlist threads on Twitter yesterday, and got a bunch of stuff for people, and I know that it's so dumb whenever booktubers post their wish list somewhere and like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting anything, but genuinely I wasn't expecting anything. So I'm just gonna open these up really quickly. My lunch is sitting just over there and I don't want it to get cold, so I am genuinely gonna do this quickly. So let's see. This first one is... Ooh! Okay, so this is Hold Back the Tide by Melinda Salisbury. This just came out. I love The State of Sorrow, and I need to read The Song of Sorrow by her, and this is her new series, I think. I'm not going to run through what these books are about quite yet. Oh, this is so nice. This is from Lisa, so thank you so much, Lisa. I'll talk about these all more in my book haul at the end of the month. What's this? Ooh, yay! Okay, this is Once Upon a River, and this is by Diane Setterfield. I don't know much about this one, but my mum actually recommended it, and she said it would be really good for me as someone who likes historical fiction and kind of fantasy-esque things. So this is from... Oh, this is from Beth. She's one of the people who's running one of those threads, and she's a UK book blogger. I'll post everyone's links where they have them down below so you can check them out. That's so nice. Thank you, Beth. Beth is awesome. I actually know Beth. I've met her like at Yelk and whatnot, and at like blogger events and stuff, and she's a really, really cool person. Let's see what's next. Ooh, goodness. So this is one I've heard amazing things about. This is The Gracier by Kim Liggett, and this is from Rach. So thank you so much. This is awesome. This is like I think it's kind of maybe what I wanted something like Wilder Girls to be. It's sort of not post-apocalyptic, but like dystopia feminist writing. It sounds awesome. And this last one is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This is a horror novel, and I'm really excited. I've heard really good things about this. Who's this from? Oh, it's from Connie! Connie's another UK book blogger who I have met at various events and at Yelp, and is a really awesome person. She's got something coming to her as well from me. So that's really awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is a very nice thing to have happen on a kind of bleak work from home Tuesday. Right, so it is Wednesday, it is lunchtime, and yesterday was quite a busy day, so I didn't end up getting to update like I had wanted to after finishing building all the bookshelves. You may notice something very alarming behind me. I've got some empty shelves, which is a very new and exciting thing for me. I'll go into that in a second. But first, in terms of reading, I was gonna pick up Docile, but I think that I need something happier right now because just like the state of the world and everything like that. And I read the first couple of pages of this and I was like, I might save this for another day. So instead I picked up the audiobook for this. This is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. And I love this cover. I think it's hilarious. I love all things 80s, especially as an 80s baby. But yeah, no, I've been wanting to read this for absolute ages. I've never read any of his books, although I have a ton of them. And yeah, I'm super pumped for this. I've only just started, so I'm probably like 50 pages in or so, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I will report back on this one. I just needed something a little bit sillier, I think. And while this is a horror novel, I think it's going to be silly. Or at least have like silly elements and not like people selling their bodies to the wealthy in order to pay off their massive debts. Yeah. So I am going to show you my shelves. Let me detach you guys here. Give me 1 second. I ended up building both of my shelves and there we go. And I ended up reorganizing them several times until I found something that I liked. So I'm going to show you that now. I will do a proper view of my reading room at some point when I tidy up because it's a bit of a mess right now. But basically what I have done is I've got all my Harry Potter books just here because I collect Harry Potter editions. So I've got my American ones at the very top just here. Those are the ones that I grew up with and like are falling apart now. And I have my illustrated editions, my paperback editions that are just for like standard reading. I have my 2 Ravenclaw editions just here when I still thought I was a Ravenclaw and not a Hufflepuff. And I've got my British editions just here. Then I've got my Lord of the Rings and Hobbit collection, which isn't particularly huge at the moment, but it makes me very happy and it's always growing. I love how many editions of the Lord of the Rings books there are. So my other shelf, I was going to do an ARC shelf, and then I went through and decided that I didn't want most of my old ARCs anymore. It was like a big like come to Jesus moment for me. So I decided to do hardbacks instead. Now the only problem with this is that I have a lot of fucking hardbacks. I love hardbacks. So I ended up moving some here. So I do have a lot of hardback copies. I tend to really like hardbacks, so I tend to buy them. I don't like waiting, even though they just sit on my shelf for ages. I could wait for the paperback, but I don't. So I've got all of my hardbacks here, and I'm hoping that because I've spent more money on these guys, I will be a little bit more encouraged to pick them up now that they're all kind of in one place and staring at me and guilting me. So that means that my regular shelves, the ones that you guys are familiar with, are actually all paperbacks now, and that means also that I have cleared out quite a few shelves. So those are obviously going to be filled. My red shelves are still a huge mess. But yeah, I cleared out a lot of stuff. Those are my old proofs that I haven't gotten rid of. These are the ones that I got rid of yesterday, and I'm going to organize them, and when this whole sort of, you know, pandemic is over, I am going to sell them off on Twitter or offer to send them out for postage or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of what happened yesterday and why I was so busy. So yeah, I think for the rest of the day I am going to obviously finish work, but at lunchtime I'm gonna do like a short video chat with one of my best friends who's just started working from home, check in, see how she's doing. And we're gonna watch Babylon 5, me and Scottish Husband, over lunch as well. And at the end of the day, when we're done with work, we are going to do the Met web stream of La Boheme. We watched Carmen last night. It was Scottish Husband's first opera and he really enjoyed it. And I love opera. This is like a fun fact about me. I absolutely love opera. I can't remember if I said this previously or not, but I'd never seen Carmen before and there's so much famous music that comes out of Carmen. You guys would definitely recognize some of it. So I was very happy to actually see that. So La Boheme is tonight and it's actually, I think I've done the math and I think it's the production that I saw when I was in New York, which is spectacular. It was really wonderful and I'm gonna cry so hard because it's just like heart-wrenching. So I think I'm not gonna have a lot of time for reading today, but I will continue listening to my best friend's exorcism, and I do still have buried under some stuff the Rearranged Life of Una Lockhart to crack on with. I didn't read any of this yesterday. I've also got a NetGalley copy, a digital copy on my Kindle, so I will try to read some of that before bed too. So, funny story, it's Saturday. I fully intended to vlog this whole week, but hey, guess what? I woke up on Thursday not feeling really great. I'd started coughing Wednesday night and got very, very scared and nervous about that. And then on Thursday I woke up with aches and pains and just completely exhausted, no appetite, nothing. I got the damn flu. The fucking flu in the middle of a pandemic. Like, of all people that would happen to, it would be me. I tend to be very susceptible to a lot of things like colds and flus and stuff like that, so I'm super annoyed. That basically means I didn't vlog on Thursday or Friday, obviously, because I was recovering. I'm feeling a lot better now, but because of sort of the fact that I did have some symptoms that are similar enough to COVID-19, I am actually going to self-isolate for 2 weeks. It's quite the precautionary measure. It's not necessary, I don't think, but I would rather be safe than sorry because I couldn't live with myself if I knew that I gave it to someone, especially someone who was immunocompromised or elderly or had family who were either of those things. So basically I'm inside for the next 2 weeks, which is exciting. I've like pulled together a plan for myself, which may be helpful for some of you guys. I've put together like, on work days, I'm going to break twice for 20 minutes in the morning and the afternoon, get myself a cup of tea, just have a break from the screen because I can't remember if I said this on Wednesday. I gave myself eye strain. My eyes were absolutely murdering me. I was in a lot of pain, which is apparently also a flu symptom, so it may have been that. But we're trying to avoid eye strain. I'm gonna go out for very, very distanced walks by myself just to get out of the flat because I went out today just to like poke my head outside because it had been a week since I had left the flat, which is a little bit ridiculous. So I'm trying to like do stuff like that, take care of myself, stay away from other people, but like take care of myself and everyone else around me. So the cats are thrilled. They've been sitting on me all evening. I've been reading a lot, which is nice, but I've not been feeling particularly creative with videos, which I think is very understandable. I just posted like a little community status thingy. I'm not going to be uploading very frequently or like not on a schedule or whatever. I'm just going to try to upload when I can, when I'm feeling it. I'm not really feeling it at the moment, but I think this vlog is helping because I feel like I can like talk to you guys about something. But yeah, let's talk about books because that's the whole point of this. So I cannot remember what I said on Wednesday at all, but I did finish a couple of things. So I ended up finishing The Rearranged Life of Una Lockhart. I skimmed the last 100 pages or so. I was like far in enough that I was like, I can't DNF it at this point. It was fine. It was, for a book that's about time travel and like, you know, skipping through different sort of eras of your life and all that. I have a Dax joining me, by the way. I don't think you can see her though. There we go. It wasn't very interesting. It was just kind of a boring story about a woman trying to find herself with time travel involved. So it wasn't my favorite thing. So I'm glad I'm finished with that though, because I feel like I've been reading it for ages. Hi Daxie, you gonna sit in my lap? If I like bring the camera down to like show you Dax, that will be like me moving too much and she'll freak out and run away. So you guys are just gonna have to trust the fact that I do have a Dax on my lap right now. Oh, you're so sweet. Anyway, back to not talking about cats and actually talking about books like I meant to. I did end up signing up for Scribd because they're currently doing, this is not like sponsored or anything, I just saw this on Twitter, they're currently doing, I guess, 30 days for free with no credit card required, which is really nice. It means that you're not gonna like forget and, you know, continue to subscribe to something you may not necessarily want during sort of coronavirus and everything like that. So I signed up because I used to use Scribd, oh god, way back when it first came out, like 2012, 2013, when it was almost exclusively ebooks. Very, very, very few audiobooks, and it was actually unlimited. I don't know how it kind of works now, but I know that they sometimes like restrict your library if you like read too much or listen too much. So I'm trying it out. We'll see how it goes. They have a lot of stuff that I'm really interested in, a lot of things that I am curious to read but don't necessarily want to sink the money into. For example, I listened to a couple of short audiobooks. Usually I don't invest the Audible credits or the money into short audiobooks like novellas and stuff because it's just not worth it. But I did get the chance to listen to a couple of things. So I listened to The Monster of Eldenhaven by someone whose name I can't remember, but I'll put the cover on the screen, which was okay. Probably 2.5 to 3 star read for me. I need to decide though, don't I? Dax is looking at me. It was fine. It felt kind of pointless. It felt like really cool world building. I loved her writing style, but there's no real point to the story for me, so that was kind of a shame. And sort of some of the cool things that I thought she was going to go into, she didn't do. So that was not hugely disappointing because I've heard really mixed things about it. But it was alright. And then I was really pleasantly surprised by Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. I read Magic for Liars last year, and I found it really underwhelming, unfortunately. It sounded like it was going to be really, really cool. It's set at magic school in Northern California, and like a murder happens, and our main character is a non-magic person who's a detective who's going to investigate, which sounds amazing, but it was super dull. I found it really boring. So I was a little bit nervous about Upright Women Wanted because it sounded really cool, again, like Magic for Liars did, but I didn't want to invest the money in buying a copy of it. So I found it on Scribd and I listened to the audiobook and it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's basically like an alternate Western. I don't think it's a novella. It may be either a long novella or a short novel. It's about 5 hours, and it follows this girl who basically runs away to join the librarians who distribute approved materials from the government, approved reading materials, and it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's super gay. There's non-binary love interest, so if you're interested in a really interesting and sort of slightly different kind of read and you want those LGBTQ themes, you should definitely pick it up. I really enjoyed it. It was probably 4.5 stars for me. I just finished it today and I try not to settle on ratings too quickly. I like to let them sink in a little bit. So finally, what am I reading? Because I think I showed you my new layout for my hardbacks just over there with my new bookshelves, I decided that I'm going to take this time to read down some of that shelf because I have a lot of hardbacks. So I ended up picking up The Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. I got this in an Illumicrate box last year, I think almost 1 year ago actually. I think it was the April one. I don't know why I remember that. And I had heard really mixed things about this. I'd heard it's really slow, I've heard it's super twisty and turny, I've heard that in some ways it's lackluster, in some ways it's amazing, and heard all these things about this book, so I wanted to give it a try for myself. It is YA fantasy, and I've really been struggling with YA fantasy, but I'm really enjoying this. I've been marking it off as sections of 100, which I did with Kingdom of Copper when I was doing my buddy read, and I found it really motivating to keep reading and like get to the end of my page goal. So I'm currently, you can see my 2 bookmarks, I got my last chunk of 100 for tomorrow, but I am currently on page 278 out of 400 almost exactly, and I am really enjoying it. I think that letting the hype die down for me probably helped a lot, and also not necessarily being in the mood for YA. I feel like maybe it would kind of blend into the background if I was reading lots of YA right now, but I'm not, so it feels really different. The world building is fantastic. I think that there are some things she's not necessarily as good at yet, but her world building is wonderful and I really love it. So if you're looking for something that's kind of interesting and maybe a little unusual and it does have those ties to Chinese history, this is one that you should give a try if you've not read it yet. So I'm hoping to finish this tomorrow, and then I've been kind of staring at my shelves, unsure of what I want to pick up next. We'll see. But yeah, I've been reading a lot. I've not been feeling creative, but I have been reading, which is really good. So I've been rambling and Dax wants some cuddles, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for tonight, and I'll wrap up this vlog tomorrow. Oh, there we go. Hi, Dax. How you doing? You alright? You having a good evening? She's been hiding in the closet a lot. She doesn't love the fact that we're home so much, because we're always trying to like cuddle her and stuff. She's very much a cuddler on her own terms. So if I've got this duvet on, she's probably gonna come sit in my lap. But if I try to give her a kiss, she's like dodging me like a tiny little ninja or something, which is hilarious but kind of heartbreaking when you just want to give your little cat some affection. Right, so it's Sunday and I'm gonna be wrapping up this vlog. I have just been editing and I'm hopefully gonna get this vlog up tonight or tomorrow, and watching that footage back, I was like, good God, woman, brush your fucking hair. So I went ahead and I like did my hair and makeup, even though it's what, like 8:30 at night on a Sunday? I just felt like I need to get my shit together and feel a little bit more human. I have been sick this week. It's been my second week of social distancing. I'm going into my very first week of self-isolation. I'm very rarely going to be leaving the flat, and if I am, I'm not going to like the shop or anything. I'm just going to be like going for a walk. I've got a 5K route planned out, and yeah, I I need to maybe take slightly better care of myself while I'm working from home. So that was at least a little bit of a wake-up call. So if you're wondering why I have just a full face of makeup on right now, that is why. But I read a lot this week and I have some stuff that I am continuing on with. There's some things that I've just started. So going in order, I read The Bone Witch by Rinch Pecco. I really enjoyed this. I listened to the audiobook. It's not my favorite. It tended to fall into a little bit of the kind of Wonder Girl YA heroine, which is not my favorite thing. But I did really enjoy it. I'm probably going to finish this series. I think it's a trilogy, but I'm not in a huge rush to do so. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And none of these ratings are like finalized or anything. As I've said before in previous videos, I tend to let stuff sink in a little bit before rating it. So probably a 3.5 to 4 star book for me. We'll see in my wrap up. Then I read The Rearranged Life of Una Lockhart. Not really to my taste, unfortunately. I think that the fact that this is a Glance book, which is a strictly sci-fi and fantasy publisher, really threw me off. I was expecting more of the sci-fi and fantasy elements. I would definitely read this more as women's fiction. So if you're a women's fiction fan, recommended. If you are someone looking for time travel books and adventures, not necessarily. I was really hoping that it would have more of those sci-fi elements in it, but the time travel was kind of inconsequential in a way, which was kind of disappointing. So this is probably a 2.5 star read for me. Then I read The Monster of Eldenhaven by someone whose name I can't remember. I'll put the cover up on the screen. This was probably about 2.5 for me. I loved her writing style and I really enjoyed her world building. I liked the character interactions, but the story just felt pointless. It felt like there wasn't a reason for the story to have been written. It felt like it didn't go anywhere. It felt like it didn't do anything. There's just this kind of pointless feeling to it, which is really harsh to say, but unfortunately is true. And so I wasn't hugely disappointed in this one because I had heard mixed things about it in the past, but unfortunately this one just didn't really do it for me. So this is probably a 2 star read. Then I was really pleasantly surprised by Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. I have read one of their books in the past and was not really blown away by it, but I really enjoyed this one. This and The Monster of Eldenhaven were also audiobooks. They're short audiobooks and they're both on Scribd, at least in the UK, so you can go ahead and check them out. This is an awesome alternate history western, and it was so fun. I really, really enjoyed it, and if you're looking for LGBTQ plus books, you should absolutely pick this one up. This is probably a 4 to 4.5 star. Then today I finished The Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. I really enjoyed this one. It's not a perfect book by any stretch of the imagination. I think that there's some places where it definitely has weaknesses. I think the characters could have been a little bit stronger. The plot was so twisty and so like crazy. There were so many like things just coming completely out of left field, which I enjoyed, but felt a little bit messy. But I loved the world building. I really liked the main character, and I thought that this was just a really good, fun read. I'm hoping that we get a second book, because this would be a great duology or trilogy, but I don't think that she has signed up for a second one yet, which makes me very sad. So this is probably a 4-star read for me. And finally, the Amazon man left a package on my doorstep this evening, and he kind of like waved from down the hall. He's being very responsible. And he delivered a copy of Snow Glass Apples by Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran. I really loved this. This is so short, so brief. It's a graphic novel that I was reading it while I was uploading my vlog footage to be edited, and I finished it before my footage finished uploading, it was a very, very quick read. But it is a very, very dark retelling of Snow White from the perspective of the kind of evil stepmother, and I really enjoyed it. There's lots of blood and there's lots of nudity in this one, so if that's not your thing, I would not recommend it. But if you're looking for a really interesting retelling with absolutely beautiful, beautiful illustrations, you should absolutely pick this one up. This came from my friend Moon, who has been keeping me very much provisioned with books, so thank you so, so, so much to Moon. This is probably going to be a 4.5-star read for me. This is like exactly the kind of Neil Gaiman that I really enjoy. I really love dark fairy tale retellings, and this was just great. I just wish that it was a little bit longer, but it's a graphic novel, it's a fairy tale. What can you do? In terms of what I am going to be reading next week, the plan is to go ahead and hunt through Scribd and see if there's anything interesting in terms of audiobooks that I'd like to listen to while I'm working. I feel like those short audiobooks are something that I just don't usually listen to because it's not worth it. It's not worth the money, but having this service means that I can actually get to some books I've really wanted to read. So I'm going to do that. I don't know what I'm going to pick up yet, but I am going to do that. I'm also going to continue on with my best friend's exorcism, which I was really enjoying, but I was listening to it while I was working, and I didn't work for Thursday and Friday because I was sick. So I have not been listening to this. I'm going to pick it up in the coming week, and I decided to pick up Docile. I have such funny feelings about this. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's going to be so bleak and so awful and so horrific, and while I have been wanting to read lighter stuff, I also feel like this is kind of a great time to read this. I'm also thinking about potentially picking up Wanderers by Chuck Wendig, which is about a pandemic that wipes out a huge amount of the world's population. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a good one to read right now. I just started after I finished Snow Glass Apples, so I'm on page 12. We'll see how it goes. Some people love it and like blast through it in 2 sittings. Some people can't get through it because it is so brutal. We'll see how it goes. I will report back to you guys. This coming week I am also going to be vlogging my social isolation. I feel like this has been a really good way for me to feel like I'm staying sane and talking to other human beings. So in theory I should have another vlog coming up next week, which I am very much looking forward to. I am probably going to, in addition to talking about reading, going to talk about kind of my routine and everything and how I'm handling this whole self-isolation thing, because it's been very different for me, regardless of the fact that I usually tend to stay indoors. I'm not the most social person. So we'll see how that goes, but stay tuned, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I am feeling a little bit more interested in doing some videos. So I'll probably do some tonight. Keep an eye out. In the comments below, I would love to hear what you've been reading, if you've read any of these books, maybe if they're in your TBR, but also I just want to hear how you're doing. Are you working from home? Are you in a job where you can't work from home? How's it going? Just let's chat. Let's be social via the internet. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.